right?
Yep. What's going on?
Yeah, is that better?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, am I right way around? I think so.
Yeah, I'll switch it around.
Coolio. Yeah, it's way better in a week. Like, pretty much alive. I feel like shit on some days. Well, I might have to wander off because the tea's nearly done. Alright, I'll talk to you in a minute. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just been working a lot. How's everything with you?
Pretty cool. It's been a weird week. It just seems truth versus winning. It's like the epic battle.
Yeah.
Is the truth important or just winning at all costs?
Well, you know, so some of the things, I mean, I think there was a minor loss, that whole Jussie Smollett thing. Like, you heard he was able to...
We all knew that was going to happen though. It's like not sure.
That is true. That is true. I couldn't see them locking him up or anything like that.
He's black and he's gay.
Yeah.
His friends with Obama.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing.
Like going, I still swear by my statement. Everything I said was true.
I know. That's the wildest part about it. Is he still won't admit it.
It's truth versus winning. It's like, just pick a side. Do you want to win or do you want the truth? As if the truth isn't worth anything.
Yeah. That's true. But I mean, it's...
If I was lying, do you think I'd be the child of my mum? Oh yeah, that's...
I mean, we did have the Mueller thing, which I think is funny that all fell apart. Because it's like at this point, I really feel like...
It was never there in the first place.
Well, and I really feel like at this point, exactly, it was never there in the first place. And it's like, if you're... Like, at this point, there's basically no...
Remember that Good Morning Britain program? Not Good Morning, like Good Morning America program. Those women going, we've just got information in. Trump is going to be up for collusion. Ooh, yay, ooh.
Yeah. I mean... It's just mind-boggling.
Trump got urinates done by prostitutes. Yay!
There's no longer any excuse or rationale for anyone to believe the mainstream media, because the whole thing was, they said for a year straight that Trump couldn't win, and then when he won, their whole justification as to how that happened was Russian collusion. So it's like... Now you have, between these two stories, a solid 3 years straight of them lying through their teeth to everyone. And there's just no more reason for anyone to take them remotely serious.
Is Trump going to sue these people?
You know...
He should just sue just a couple of outlets. A couple of news outlets.
I did see that there was an official memo.
Especially those women who did it live on that Good Morning America, whatever it was, and they all go, ooh, yay, Trump collusion, ooh. It's like, okay.
Was it Good Morning America or was it The View?
I don't know what it was.
The
It's
View?
that one with Whoopi Goldberg on.
Yeah, The View.
Yeah. So we had that. Then we had Cardi B saying that she used to drug and rape men. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Cardi B, this old clips resurfaced of her going, I had to work hard for my money, I work hard. I had to drug people when I was a stripper and rob their stuff. I promised them sex, I drugged them out and raped them.
Black chick Bill Cosby, basically?
Yeah, and everyone's behind it. They're going like, what a strong woman she is.
Oh my god.
You had to do it to work. It's like, no, you didn't have to do it. You're a stripper. Strippers earn good salaries. Speaking
of strong woman stuff, I've been meaning to do.
About me?
No, I've been meaning to do a review of the Captain Marvel movie because I watched a bootleg copy of it, and it's really funny how Marvel. This is the second time they've done this actually, where they have a movie.
Well, they've got this little girl. It's about that big. It just kicks ex-convicts' asses like 5 at once.
No, well, what it is it has the same flaw as Black Panther, and I don't remember who. Someone pointed this out to me, where after seeing Black Panther, they turned to me and they basically were like, oh, so the message of Black Panther is that black people wouldn't be shit without help from aliens. Because that was that was the whole thing in Black Panther, is like the vibranium or whatever fell down from the aliens and it made that area, it like created technologies they could create from it. That's, I mean, the whole story of Captain Marvel is a girl who always got her ass kicked. She was never shit, and then one time she was out on a test pilot drive and ended up absorbing like energy from some sort of generator or reactor, and then aliens took her and trained her and all of this stuff. But in no way is she like a strong, powerful woman on her own. It's all with the help of aliens. So it's like anytime they try to do any of these like minority empowerment stories, there's always a external alien force that is imbuing them with powers.
They're jumping the shark, a lot of aliens these days.
Yeah, well, I remember, what was his name? Eddie Bravo said it on that one podcast where he said alien conspiracy theory stuff is really being pushed.
Yeah, especially, yeah. The other thing is, I was on Wikipedia today, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was fucking, I don't have a job, guys. I've got like a lot of time on my hands. A lot of time. So this sort of shit I do.
You know, I was thinking...
going on.
Real quick, I was thinking of that earlier because I've had 2 employers come to me and be like, do you know anyone that needs a job? Do you have any friends looking for work? This, and that. And I do, but they've come right to me and said, but you know, it's your reputation. Like, I want someone that you would stake your reputation on. And it's like, the handful of people I can think of, I'm like, I don't know if I would do that for them. Like, nothing against them personally, but I just don't know if their work ethic is like up to par with mine. I don't want someone looking for someone like me and me offering them someone that's more interested in being a coke dealer or something like that. Yeah, and I wouldn't even be involved. Like, it's just, I don't have the time for it. So it would just be me kind of referring them.
Yeah, you'd be quite good at managing people, I reckon.
But I was like, you know, if Paul needs some work, I said if he was around here, I know I could just be like, yeah, here's Paul, and, you know, he would be good for it. But anyway, so, as you were saying, you were looking around on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I looked up Luciferianism. The amount of occult stuff that is now just like, you might want to go on it, bring up Luciferianism on Wikipedia, it's incredible. They've completely documented all of Aleister Crowley's magic rituals. They're all there. But Luciferianism, it makes it sound like it's the best religion that's ever existed. It's like it's all about enlightenment and peace and being a good person. It's the best religion you could pick out of all of them. This is the one. So amazing. I might bring it up this time.
You know, actually, I had someone on leave a comment on that video I did recently about Styx Hexenhammer, where they were basically talking about Satanism and all of that.
Oh, mate, should we do it now? Should we take our shirts off and just wear a jacket? Come on, let's do it, man. It'll be fun, just for a bit.
I'm too chilly for that. My nipples are already hard.
Just for a bit. Just a couple of minutes.
But, So they commented on that video being like, you know, you're right, Styx doesn't know what he's talking about. You obviously have more of a grasp than, you know, he does and this, and that. They were like, but, you know, Satan or Lucifer, you know, he was just the ultimate rebel and the ultimate defiance of authority and this, and that. And it's like, I hate when people think of it as being that simple, because it's like rebellion against false authority, I agree with. Rebellion against God, which is the authority of nature, like, is the authority of natural law, that I have a problem with. Like, I mean, it's basically why the symbol, it's a symbol of Baphomet is what it is. It's like a goat head with female's tits and a dude's cock, and it's like, what's appealing about that?
Let me tell you, I can tell you, I'm here now. So through associated with Satanism, a philosophy based on the Christian interpretation of the fallen angel, Luciferianism differs in that it does not revere merely the devil figure of Satan, but the broader figure of Lucifer, an entity representing various interpretations of the morning star, as understood by ancient cultures such as the Greeks and the Egyptians. In this context, Lucifer is a symbol of enlightenment, independence and human progression, and is often interchangeably with similar figures from ancient beliefs, such as the Greek Titan Prometheus or the Jewish Talmudic figure Lilith. It just goes on. Luciferians generally support the protection of the natural world. Both the arts, the sciences are crucial to human development. I mean, it's just like, and then I was just like, the first thing you go and Google, type in Luciferian, it was the first thing that will come up as well. I just thought it was amazing. It's like the greatest sales pitch ever.
Yeah.
It's about how you're like illuminated once you learn. And then you start going into magic, which I don't have to do tonight. But it's like it's probably the best encyclopedia for a cult now. It's Wikipedia. Well, it's actually really good. If you're a Satanist,
it makes sense though, because you know Wikipedia is sort of decentralized and user compiled. So I mean, if you were an occultist or Satanist and you wanted to sell it to people, that would be the place to have your pitch, because you could easily get in there and be like, well, this is where everyone's looking for general information, so let me put it here and make it, you know, sound as great and grand as possible.
Yeah, they had so much, like they had the whole on Alice. They love Aleister Crowley, a big fan of him. I just thought it's crazy, like if you typed in Christianity, do you think they'd get the same sort of write-up?
Probably
Christianity
not.
is the greatest religion in the world. It's just going to slag it off. But yeah, we don't need to do that. But you get what I mean. I just thought it was
yeah,
kind of weird. Have you heard the Conor McGregor story?
No.
Conor McGregor, around December time, was in Ireland, and he had a party in a hotel of all these Irish gangsters. And this woman turned up. I might get this bit wrong. I think it's his wife's brother's wife. I think that's how it works. I could be wrong on that bit. But it's like a close family member turned up. And Conor was like telling her to get the fuck out of there and all this stuff. And then they had an argument. So he ended up raping her in front of all of his mates, grabbing her, chokeholding her. She was on her period, so he sodomized her. The beating was so bad they had to surgically remove a tampon from the woman.
Oh my god.
So Connor's DNA is all over this woman. She's seen on CCTV leaving, having the shit kicked out of her. And she won't press charges because she's too scared. The Irish have got a law where you can't name the accused person of rape until they've actually been charged. But they're just like this famous, notorious Irish sports star that's accused of rape. So it's like pretty obvious who it is. Again, just amazes me how much of a media blackout there is on that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of evidence. There is actually a police statement that's quite recent. It's not like a groupie. This is like a family member. She was actually there. Connor was actually there. There is CCTV footage of her having the shit kicked out of her. There is a medical report that shows she was sodomized and had to have her tampon surgically removed. And nothing's happening to Connor. Just shows you like truth or winning. Like Connor's worth so much money. And he did this. There's loads of witnesses to it by the looks of it. Loads. Did it in front of people to just show off. It just amazed me, that story.
Well, and you know, it's to tie it into what we had talked about previously with the whole Michael Jackson documentary and things like that. You know, it really shows whether it's that or the Jussie Smollett thing or even Kevin Spacey's whole thing coming out about him.
Huge, just come out as gay now, won't you?
Like, when it's a real accusation, but for someone who's an insider, they're very willing to brush it all under the rug. Michael Jackson, though, was acquitted on all charges, and you had the media still relentlessly presenting him as a pedophile. Like, they never stopped. Even Barbara Streisand came out this week.
Yeah.
Like, I noticed this is the trickery they sort of do. Barbara Streisand came out this week and was talking about Michael Jackson.
P.LEVI is great.
For God knows what reason. I don't know why it even came up in conversation, but she basically just came up and was like, well, you know, Michael Jackson had his needs and he had his interests and this, and that. So, you know, those boys were all very excited to meet him. And it's like, this is what they do. Like, they just sort of co-sign it. And, like, you know, if they're co-signing it, instead of being like, oh, I didn't know him, I don't know anything about it, all I know is the same things you've heard, you know, I don't want, no comment. Like, but instead, that when they're sort of, like, co-signing it like that, like they're just adding on to the pile-on that it's true and that, you know, even though the charges were dropped, like, I mean, that's what the one aspect of all of this that no one seemed.
It wasn't a documentary; it was a hit piece.
Yeah, and it's like,
and we're going down a slippery slope.
Well, and then that's the thing, because here's the aspect of it that I would like someone to focus on. Then, if Michael Jackson did molest those boys, as we're all being told now, and you know the celebrities are backing it, all of that, how did he get off? Who was his inside man in the LA, you know, court system or whatever? Like, how did he pull off getting acquitted of everything if it actually was true? But no one is doing that. I finally watched all of Razorfist's videos on it, and his are great. Like, he goes through all of the evidence and bit by bit and what was said, and you can tell it's a hit job. It's that Saul Alinsky shit of accuse your enemies of whatever you're guilty of.
You haven't explained why none of the family are in the same room. And why they don't give a shit about their dad committing suicide.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about that. Yeah, the whole Michael Jackson thing, like, this is what I mean, it's just a truthful winning. It just seems to be like, as long as you're winning, it doesn't matter how you get there.
Yeah.
It's a Cardi B, it's okay to rape. Could you imagine if a guy came out and said, I used to rape women, I used to drug them out, rape them, and then rob them to get by? Imagine if someone just came out and said that, and it'd be fine. Yeah, bring up the Cardi B thing, it's like pretty big at the moment. And then she's doubled down on it as well. So she's not even denied, she's admitted it 3 times. I guess the police aren't going to do anything.
Yeah, I have to say, I think it's, one of the things I've been seeing that I think is very interesting is I think the, there's pressure put on the American left, especially that people have been noticing how, I won't use the word Semitic, but I'll say how anti-Jewish they are. And how little they actually care about Jews and Israel and things like that, because now...
But they're so keen on Israel, why aren't they in Israel?
Huh?
All the American Jews that are so... They're not Jews, they're fake Jews, we know that. But they're so keen on Israel, but they don't live there, they don't have any property there. Like, why don't you go live there if it's such a cool place?
That I don't know. I know there are a bunch of people in Congress and stuff with dual citizenship, and people are questioning that. I mean, people are questioning, like Owen Benjamin, of course, questions this whole thing where...
He doesn't question, he has gone a bit too far with it, to the point where he's not really broadcastable. I'm with Alex Jones, I know it's gone out on Alex Jones, but you won't be able to understand it. I mean... It is funny to take the piss out of the Jews, but Owen has gone a bit to the point where it's not really that broadcastable. I don't think it's going to go down too well.
Well, I don't think he's ever really talked about that stuff on his broadcast. But, you know, the point that he made one time that I thought was very, very interesting that he said...
No, he does make good points, but I just don't think
Yeah, but the big point he said is, he said, you know... And this is one of the things I've always said, is like, we know the names. Like, whenever people start using these terms, like the Illuminati, or, you know, Hollywood elite, or the deep state, or this, I'm like, they have names, like, name them. Call them out by name. And Owen was saying that. He said, you know, I watched Tim Pool and Joe Rogan and a section of that. He said, and they'll say the media, or they'll say the left, or they'll say, you know, the deep state, or they'll say the banking elite, or they'll say this. And he said, and most of the time, he said, these words, neocon, or the SJWs, or this, he said, all of those words, if you trace back who it is, 9 times out of 10, it's Jews. He said, and everyone wants to get mad at me for identifying them in that manner, when you can call them any of those kind of cover names that generalize it and broaden it and things like that. And I mean, even the other things where he'll say, you know, why are there all these people like Chuck Schumer and Feinstein and all of these people in Congress that are like, I'm pro-abortion for America, I'm pro-life for Israel, I'm anti-borders for America, but I'm pro-borders for Israel. So I mean, in that aspect...
Well, I can explain it to you really quickly.
Which is...
Yeah, here it is. It's coming from someone who's like more Jewish than I thought. There are some rabbis out there, I'm not saying all rabbis, but there are some out there, quite open, that don't like Christians one bit.
Yeah.
They want Christianity gone. And if that means doing alliances with Islam to get you both fighting with each other, to wipe each other out, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah. I didn't see that. But I mean, the thing I think everyone's worried about, especially, is with...
You've got to remember, part of Judaism, it's not all Jews, but some hardcore ones, Christianity is a giant problem for them.
Well, yeah, because it basically it supersedes, and this is why Vox Day has always said there is no such thing as Judeo-Christian, because the Christianity part supersedes the Judeo part. Like, you can't have a Judeo-Christian system because the
I haven't thought about that enough to know if that's true or not. I'm not intelligent enough to feel it. Because you could argue that it is still the same body of God.
But I think, you know, it's like the one formed into the other. Like, that's the whole thing, where it's like the one formed into the other, so it's like...
for killing your God.
But anyway, the...
I get the Christians coming around going around, they knock on my door and they go, look, come on, just do it for Christian. It was 2,000 years ago, Paul. Just apologise on behalf of your people for killing our God. Just try and settle things out.
But
you can try waving some money in front of
me. But the point I was getting to actually is because now the left has like this heat on them, like, because even Trump has said, like, the left in America.
That might explain George Soros' whole attitude.
What, as far as wanting to...
Europe, with Islam.
Yeah.
And all that Israel might, I don't know this for sure, they might be ISIS.
I've heard people say that ISIS is Mossad controlled, but they basically say it's Mossad, the US CIA, and, you know...
Yeah, it's always going to be like a...
Yeah, a joining of each.
Yeah, they're in on that.
But, the thing I was getting at, though, is so even Trump has says, you know, the American left has this issue with Jews and all that, especially Ilhan Omar and her remarks and everything. And one of the things, though, I've noticed the left now doing, though, is their whole defense against criticisms is, you know, cultural Marxism was trending on Twitter the other day because a Remainer in the UK or something said something about, you know, we need to stand up to this cultural Marxism, and all of the people trying to push against it were saying cultural Marxism is a anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that originated as the Nazis calling it cultural Bolshevikism or something like that. And then you had it again come up when what was the other one? A congressman, after Trump was acquitted, basically compared the Russia conspiracy theory to Hitler's concept of the big lie, where it's like you tell a big lie over and over and over and over and over enough that it supersedes the truth. And they were like, oh my God, how could this congressman come out here and compare the American left to this anti-Semitic conspiracy theory? So now that's their new cry, where now it's not just conspiracy theories, it's anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. So it's them again accusing the other side.
That's never been a new thing. Like that went back all the way to JFK, the first conspiracy. That argument, that's always been the argument towards conspiracy theory, because at the end game of a conspiracy theory is always the bankers, and by bankers you really mean
good point. Jews. Yeah, good point. Yeah, right. But now they've blatantly attached that reattached that term to it when trying to.
Well, what about if I said, I mean, I don't, it's not like just to like wind you up, but like I'm starting to think about having a campaign where we go, Trump's got to go, because we don't need Trump anymore. Trump's not really good anymore. He's a bit of a danger now. And it's good that you got him in, because it was, don't get me wrong, it was good for its time. Like, it was hilarious. It needs to be done for the media. You had to get rid of Hillary and Bush. Brilliant. He has done some good work. But now, get somebody else in. I'd be a bit upset if Trump just wins this. Because I feel like we're being played, man. Like the Mueller report, it was just so over the top. You just think, it's just like our Brexit. It's just exactly the same. It's just a stage show. None of it's real. And what it does is it forces people like me and you to really defend Trump to the end degree. Like, I catch myself doing it, like waving Trump. Like, Trump's going to do this. I just feel like I'm in a cult. Especially with this QAnon stuff. The QAnon stuff is very cult. It's a cult.
Well, that,
like, a lot of people are crazy about QAnon. And like, QAnon is just nothing but the truth. And these pictures really, he really is breaking a deep state. And Trump is really this FBI agent that's going to take them all down. It's like, Trump is in deep with Israel.
You know,
like,
I'll tell you.
He's going to bring America. What scares me, just before I cut you up, I think Israel are going to look at this and they're going to go, we have to do it now, because we're not going to get a better chance than now, because Trump is one of us. And if we don't get this the next election, one of us in there, we might not get away with what we need to do. So I think.
Well, I don't know.
To really start attacking.
Attacking who?
It's natural enemies it's always been surrounded by.
Well,
Syria,
that is true.
Know, Lebanon, it's just surrounded. Like, it's always wanted to blow these people out of the water. Iran.
Iran would have been my first guess. I mean, I don't know. Like I've said before, I'm not really paying too much attention to the Middle East politics and all
that. Do we want Trump
that.
in for 2020, like the next election? I'm like,
depends what the choices are. I say I'll tell you what though.
Yeah, don't get one based on the choices. Okay, yeah.
I don't think the Republicans are gonna put up anyone to challenge him. I mean,
does it not sound scripted in that way?
I don't know. I mean,
wide open for this guy.
They didn't put up anyone to challenge Bush on his re-election. Normally, the Democrats didn't put up anyone to challenge Obama. Like, if someone's in and they're looking like their track record is good, why would you put someone out there? It's just a waste of money. Like, you're not going to have anyone donate to the campaigns or anything like that. It's the business tie-in. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I have said before, I think the Starbucks guy who is running as an independent, I wouldn't mind him. I think his head's in the right place. I don't agree with all of his politics, but I'd take him over Bernie Sanders or Feinstein or any of the Democrats any day. But I don't know as far as the whole Israel thing and all of that going on. As far as what you were saying about cults and everything like that, I think even like how you were saying they have it with QAnon, you also have it with the whole Pizzagate, Pedogate thing.
I know you're big on trying to dominate study, but I don't think you are on these QAnon heads. But it's like, he's got them on the paedophile, he's got Hillary on this, and Hillary's going to get arrested. It's like... See,
I've always... I've realized very quickly. Jack Posobiec at one point basically blew the whole lid on that, and I don't know why anyone would still be following it since then. Him and that Ali Alexander... Posobiec and Ali Alexander blew the lid on that, where it was like people who were acting like they were covering it were actually the ones doing the uploads. Like, it's just YouTubers. There's nothing behind it. It's all, that thing is a whole gag. And that actually, the QAnon ones, that's the Trump cult, because they are going on what
you don't believe it, like, you are hated.
I know.
You're like,
I know, and it's like,
I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I laugh.
Well,
dots too,
but there's no dots to connect.
FBI,
like
they're making Trump into like James Bond.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Is like, I mean, for like when it first started 2 years ago, they were like, sealed indictments are coming 30 days till Hillary's in cuffs, and is she? No. Like, I mean, there were things in there where it's like the best way to sell someone a lie. You have little tidbits of truth in there, enough truth to make it seem substantive, and then it's like these predictive aspects that never came to be.
I'm just repeating it back to them.
Yeah, I realized I would look into it at first, and I mean, even at first, you know, Jerome Corsi was covering it, and like, but then very quickly, Alex Jones was one of the first people to be like, I'm not touching it, I'm not getting into it. And it's like, he was right for doing so, because if it was ever actual insiders at first, it probably only was for a month or two, and then it got co-opted, and it just became a whole mess. But even that's one of the things I was going to say with that video you sent me of the guy talking about pizza places and things like that. Oh, Isaac Cappy was talking about. And one of the things I want to say first off, there are no
an actor. Isaac Cappy is an actor.
But one of the things for anyone that follows the Pizzagate, Pedogate stuff, like this is such an obvious point that I don't know why it doesn't click with people. There are no children at pizza shops for sexual purposes. Period. End of story. The Italian.
I don't know, mate.
Listen. The Italian mafia. Why?
That pizza restaurant's dodgy, mate.
Let me ask you, why does the Italian? I even have an Italian cousin that had a pizza place. He had a little rinky-dink pizza place on Main Street, Poughkeepsie, and then you go to his houses and he has horses and a pool with a diving board and all this stuff. And there's no way in hell the little pizza shop is paying for that. Why is the Italian mob always had pizza shops? Money laundering. It's money laundering. The kids aren't at the pizza shops. Now, it might be the money laundering point for that.
Are we talking about Comet Ping Pong, though? Is that, like, that?
I'm talking about any of them. Any of them. Because I'm seeing these videos where people are like, this person did an event with this one. I agree with that. The concerts are shady. And again, I think it's probably a meeting place and a money laundering point for, but I don't think it's going on in the pizza shops themselves. Are the pizza shops tied in? Yes, it's the same way I'm saying. They're tied in. The Italians had them tied into the mob. It was a money laundering point. They might even meet up and have dinner there and discuss plans there. But it's a pizza shop. It's not a sex shop. It's a pizza shop. But it's a front, basically. But it's not even an actual front. No, I didn't know that.
It had a fire.
Not surprised. I mean, even that insurance claims, I'm sure they could. You know, I've always said, as far as Comet goes, very shady. You know, how does that guy have so much political influence? But I'm talking.
It's called Comet Ping Pong.
I'm talking more about this whole idea that these people are
like.
I'm
with you across the other ones, sure, but I think Comet Ping Pong, I reckon.
Well, yeah, because that's the only one with an owner that. See, but here's the thing. With Comet Ping Pong, didn't we discover that there's like an art museum or something that he has right down the street?
Like, I reckon you're right. It was like this meeting place to get it done, organise it too. But I think there could have been the odd. I think it did have a basement and there was some shit going on. And the music, the bands were there to like drown a lot of it out.
I mean, that could have been, but I think, you know, like I'm saying, all of the other ones, they're the money laundering points. I mean, that should be that should be the starting point of where you start digging. That's not where you're gonna find.
You need to dig under that tunnel, mate.
It's not where the pizza
Those tunnels they've got going on.
The pizza place isn't where the figurative bodies are buried. Like, that's just where the money laundering happens, because it's easy to cook the books.
But no, I reckon it's 50-50. Because you don't know for sure. I haven't got a smoking gun that happened there, but I'm pretty sure some shit went down in that place. Especially those bands playing in a kind of, it's called Chemical Ping Pong, all the artwork. I'm sure they must have had the odd pass them around parties. Because psychopaths share kids. That's the thing.
Yeah. I'm just talking about the video you had sent me specifically, where it was like the guy talking about Isaac Cappy, and it was something like...
I can't believe you're defending James Elephant.
I'm not in any which way.
What are you trying to say? You're shill.
Because I've already said, you know, why does he have so much power and influence? There's obviously more to him than what it is. I'm just saying I think the pizza places are the money laundering point, and if you think the story ends at the pizza place, then you might as well give up. The pizza place is the starting point for where the digging should go. It's not the end of it. And I've seen videos, though, where people will be like, this person once worked on something with this guy, and this guy once, owned this place with this other guy who has a pizza shop. And it's like, and like there's an end. It's like the dots are so loosely tied together in a 6 degrees of separation type manage. Like, and then they'll just be like, and you already know, if you can't figure it out, it should be clicking with you by now. And it's like, no, spell it out to me. If you think you've figured out some grand conspiracy, spell it out. Like, because that, like, because it's almost like I get these callers at my other job, and it's the most irritating thing, because people will talk, mentally ill people specifically, will talk in half sentences, and they'll finish, like, instead of using a comma in their talking, they'll say, well, my mother came to me, and, she was trying to tell me things that, it really upset me, and I don't know how I feel about this, I don't know. And it's like, what? What? Like, you just ended every sentence with a, implying, like, that I know what you're talking about, and then finished with a, I don't know. Now, the only difference is these people aren't finishing with the I don't know. It's just basically this leading thing where it's like, oh, yeah, well, Isaac Cappy, he was in this movie once with so-and-so, and about him. And then they went to the donut shop, and about the donut shop. And, well, the donut shop once had an owner that had lunch at the pizza place, And then that pizza place once was burnt down. Like, it's like, what the fuck? Like, I haven't heard a crime yet. I haven't heard of anything. And, I mean, granted, they could all be shady characters involved, but I think some of this stuff is just to get people going in loops, looking at nothing, and overanalyzing nothing. Like, it's almost like I feel like that's where people are really being played. Like, it's like the QAnon thing, but it's a Pizzagate version of it. Where they're getting...
The QAnon and the Trump thing's the same as the Brexit thing. It's just a show to get you to support what you don't want, which you never wanted to come in the first place.
See, I don't...
I'm not explaining a lot, but I think America can learn a lot from what...
I don't know what you mean by that, though. Like, are you saying that people should support staying in the EU, or...
No, the stuff that was promised was never on the cards in the first place. It was just to cause a divide. And I just think, I'm not buying this Trump, and I think he is too close to the Clintons. It's just too perfect for story. Trump getting elected, however he's got everyone behind government again. I just think we're being trolled. I don't think Trump is as good as what I had hoped.
See, the thing I think about is I don't think the elite
There's no competition. It's crazy that they put Clinton up against Trump.
But here's the thing:
it's insane that Trump is president. That's insane.
I don't think. And
you've got to admit, it is insane.
Well, I'm just going to say this in terms of what I've seen as far as like local level politics. I don't think people. I think people assume that the elite and the powerful like each other more than they really do. Like, most of them, like we're saying, are psychopaths and sociopaths. So they don't like anyone, and everyone's just sort of a tool in their arsenal.
Yeah.
Like, so, as far as thinking, like, because there's pictures and, because Trump was invited to whoever's wedding or anything like that, like, some of those are just power moves, where it's just like... He donated to a campaign. He didn't donate to a campaign because he likes them. He donated because he wants to build a new building and he needs to call in a favor. Like, it's not... Everyone's... It's like they're all just using each other. They don't actually get along or like each other. Like, if you can help me with what I need to do and I can help you, that's fine. One hand washes the other. But besides that, fuck off. Because, I mean, I even see, like... I see business owners do that, like schmooze the politicians, do a favor for them so they can have a favor to call in. It's almost like bribery and extortion, but it's done with like this nice veneer.
Check this out. Type in Nicolas Cage into Google. It's amazing. This is amazing. Okay, now. If you ever want to be a Hollywood star, you just watch this and just think, there's something not right with these people.
What am I looking at? The thing about him getting married again?
Well, no, it's like yelling at her. He just got married and he's going, her boyfriend's a drug dealer. She's trying to steal my money. Okay. Insane. You would have thought if you were in Nicolas Cage's shoes, like, you just have it made.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume most of Hollywood are all defective people. I don't know how you can have anyone in there that, you know, is doing anything good.
When I was walking through town on Friday, had these people in the high street. They were like dressed in black for a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
They looked like commies, someone else. And they had like a grave and everything, like a coffin, black coffin. It had a symbol on it. I might draw you a symbol because I didn't recognise it. It looked weird. And it, like on the coffin, it said "Our Future." And now these commies, they're just like going about how our planet's dead now, and how we've got to save it. So I spoke to him. I just said, "Oh, let's just cut straight to the chase. I guess the big one is you want to introduce like carbon tax." We started talking about carbon. Yeah, you've had my spill on carbon.
Did you, this reminds me though of the best thing I've seen in the news all week. Did you see, because they had the vote on the Green New Deal, and I have a few things to say on this, but they had the vote on it. 0 people voted for it, 57 voted against it. So it was a unanimous no. But you had this rep from Utah, Mike Lee, come up there, and he was like, I'm going to treat this bill with the seriousness it deserves. And he starts holding up like a picture. He's like, without airplanes, how will we travel? We'll have to use, you know, the people in Alaska. And he pulls up a picture of Luke Skywalker on when he's riding one of those like snow animals from Empire Strikes Back. He's like, I forget the name of it, the Tutu or the TT or the something like that. He's like, we'll have to use these in Alaska. And the people in Hawaii, and he puts up a cartoon of Aquaman riding a giant seahorse. And he's like, we'll need a fleet of these giant seahorses in order to transport people from Hawaii to the mainland. And like at one point he has up a giant picture of Ronald Reagan riding a velociraptor holding an American flag. Like he went up there and just memed basically like the whole shit. And like, it's hysterical. It's the most funniest thing. And you had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez flipping her shit. And I don't know if I had brought this up in a previous podcast, but remember how I was saying people should investigate her and find out her real backstory? That guy, the YouTuber Mr. Reagan, did so. And he found a video by that group Justice Democrats, that Democratic Socialist group. And they're talking, and they're like, you know, we used to have our meetings at this bar in the village, and there was this girl there, Sandy, and, you know, she was just our bartender, and she was really nice, and this, and that. And eventually she got involved with us. And, you know, we decided that out of everyone that should try to run for a seat, you know, this, and that, it should be Sandy. And Sandy's who you now know as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And, like, they basically go through how they had this group, and they were like, someone has to run for something. They picked her. They manufactured her as a candidate. And that's why when she's doing her talking points, she sounds coherent because they're not hers. There's a whole team behind her. But when she goes off script, then she sounds just as stupid as can be. But yeah, she was completely manufactured by that political group.
We had this funeral for mankind. I started talking to them. Obviously I went in quite light. I was just like, obviously I agree with you, like, we need that, the planet's got problems. Went through like some problems we can all agree on. Then I said, the only thing where I get lost is I'm going to take a guess that you believe that carbon is a giant problem for the atmosphere. And they're like, yeah, carbon's so bad. Carbon, oh, we need to tax it. We need to tax it. I was like, okay. I was like, can you tell me what carbon is? And there were 5 of them. 4 of them couldn't tell me what carbon was. And then one of them was quite smart. He could tell me what carbon was. And he was like, yeah, they're going to tax us on life. And I was like, yeah, so it's going to be us in that coffin because we're going to tax us on stuff. I also just asked stuff like, is carbon like just a trace element?
Yeah.
Like, is it really a pollutant or is it a trace element? Because a pollutant and a trace element are 2 different things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's the thing. It's,
they didn't. 4 of them didn't get that, but 1 of them did. And then I just asked about just the usual stuff. And you heard it all before, like, what is the carbon in the atmosphere now? What would it be if there wasn't humans? What do you want it to be? Why is it even bad, the planet heating? Like, the climate obviously goes through cycles anyway. It heating up might be good.
Well, and that's the whole like thing about it.
Anyway, let me just quickly. So what happened was this guy came up, this soy boy. No, because I asked. I said, I'm gonna take a guess that you're not up for borders. You're not up for like Europe, UK leaving Europe. That you want this big collective. And they're like, yeah, we want that. We want that. And I was like, but if we allow refugees from the 3rd world that don't have a carbon footprint, and you want to bring them into England, you've just made a massive like one of the biggest carbon footprints you can, because they have no carbon footprint in Africa.
Yeah.
Bring them here. The West has got the biggest carbon footprint, so you should be pro borders, right? And this guy came storming, going, "This is a funeral! How dare you!" and started breaking down, going, "I'm so emotional." I was like, I'm not going away like, fuck your emotions. Then they all surround me going, oh, you need to go, this is a funeral. I was like, it's not a funeral, guys. You're campaigning in the middle of the high street and you're telling me I can't be on this bit of the high street. I'm like, are you insane?
That's funny. I wish you had that on video.
And then the soy boys started to get in my face. And like they were like commies, so I wasn't like, I'm not a tough guy.
Yeah.
But I was like, none of these guys have ever been in a fight. Never. It's like I get kicked, like I get in fights all the time on purpose. Okay, like I might be shit at it, but it was just weird having these like they were girls really, they weren't men. Just like starting to try and threaten me off the street. It's like, guys, come on.
Well,
like,
the thing I've always never understood about the whole carbon thing is it's like, you know, it's basically like, you know, we take it.
No argument. Yeah, it's just like, get out of it. It's a funeral. It's like, it's not actually a funeral though, is it? It's like, it is. This is a very emotional day for me. He started crying. He actually started crying.
Wow.
Like, you guys are fucking.
I wish you had. Yeah, I wish you had that on video. I mean, it's.
I was gonna go back.
And that's the sad thing, is they don't have the mental...
And then the police came up to me and had a word going like, just watch it, don't wind them up. I was like, hey, they're taking over the high street telling me I can't be on that bit of the high street because I have an opinion. They shouldn't, I should be asking you to shut that down.
Yeah.
That's a total breach of all, like...
Yeah, especially if they don't have a permit or anything like that, which I'm sure they didn't.
Yeah, and I just don't want to be a dick, like, by all means, like, spread your crap. I'm not that offended that I need to report. I think it's hilarious.
I just think it's funny that these people can't...
It nearly got physical, bro.
They can't think it through, where it's like, oxygen is what humans intake, CO2 or carbon...
They hadn't heard of the census, the carbon census report. No, 93% of scientists.
Yeah.
Hadn't heard of it. And then one of them goes, it's actually 99%. I was like, dude, it's 0.3%.
Yeah.
They had to hack. I was like going through. You know, we had to hack that data to get it. They wouldn't give us the data. They had to hack it.
And the whole reason they wouldn't give it is because they didn't want anyone to know the parts they were ignoring.
They can't even predict the past. And he started going. And I was going, before you answer, in the climate model, it says the sun has no effect on climate. Just before you open your mouth. I was like, why can't we just? This is the problem with this finish. Like, you're so extreme. I could find common ground for you 90% of the way, but there's one thing, and you act retarded about it.
Yeah.
Like, someone's actually screaming, crying that this is a proper funeral now, and that's because you know I'm right on this.
Well, and it's even like...
And you don't need to be a scientist. Like, I'm dumb. My mum gets... I know that my mum is wonderful, but she's not high up there on the IQ.
Well, and even it's like I always tell people, like, I'm all for, you know, reusing things, repurposing things and all that, but I can't stand it when I encounter people that think the plight of the environment rests on plastic straws and cow farts. It's like, if that's where your perspective is on this...
No, I actually said our cow farts a problem. They're like, yeah. I actually said that.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
Ridiculous. And it's like, I mean, even their whole plan as far as that goes, okay, so turn everyone into vegans and vegetarians. Okay, well then we're going to need an atmosphere full of CO2 to support all of that plant life. I mean, and that's...
See if I can find a pen quick, Jamie.
And that's the thing that's always boggled me about this, where it's like, okay, so do you want more rainforests? Do you want more plants? Do you want this, and that? Like, if you eliminate CO2, you will essentially starve all of the plant life on the planet. Like, and they don't realize that eliminating CO2...
That's what was on the coffin. Can you see that?
Yeah. Like
what is that
weird...
logo?
I don't know. It's like a Black Widow hourglass kind of thing. Yeah. It's like the Black Widow hourglass thing on those poisonous spiders.
They look like Satanists too. Like, and then when I got home, I was thinking, if there was an occultic satanic group that were like not very good at it, you know, the lower echelons.
Well, I've always said
it would be them. They kind of look like the kind of people. I was like, I should have talked to them about
But the thing that sort of turned... The thing that turned me really away from being, like, you know, an environmentalist or whatever is I noticed it's a death cult. I mean, the Georgia Guidestones basically lay it all out.
It was, but did you see the point now? Like, hopefully you've got it in your head. That's what they were parading on the high street, was death.
Yeah.
It was a funeral for their future. It's like, yeah, by bringing in this dumbass carbon tax.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's,
but it's like they knew. It wasn't that they didn't know the stuff. It was like they were upset they'd been ratted out.
Yeah.
It wasn't. They weren't upset with my opinions. They weren't. It was that. And I should have just. Maybe I should have just gone along with it, because I'm sure if I'd been friends with them and started talking to them, going, oh yeah, we're gonna stop carbon. Oh, by the way, what do you think of Alistair Crowley, man?
Yeah.
I could have probably got in that cult.
Or it's like, what? I mean, and that's the whole. See, this
felt like I let the team down.
This is the whole thing that sort of boggles me about it, though. It's like, you know, them. And I don't know if these people just think, you know, because they'll be on the right side of it, maybe they'll be saved. But it's like, if you're going to eliminate, you know, it's Bill Gates' whole thing, you know, people times services times whatever equals carbon output. And he says, basic algebra, we got to get one of these numbers to 0. Okay, but that brings down...
That started Planned Parenthood.
That brings down all the other numbers to 0. Like, environmentalism is a depopulation plan. It's a plan to kill people. Like, it's a death cult. All of the answers to all of it are always less people. Like, we need less people. We need people to be subservient. We need them to be, you know, the humans' priorities are on the very bottom tier of everything. Like, that's always even my issue with veganism, where it's like, okay, you know, I understand
that's what I was going to get onto. There's so many vegans I meet, and I'm 90% with them, but it's that last 10% that's so extreme. It's like you could actually change the whole way we look at the vegans.
My favorites
looked at properly. But to say it needs to be totally banned, you're never going to win that argument.
Yeah.
The same argument as what I'm a meat eater now. Farming industry's got to go. It's not good for us. It's not good for the planet. It's not good for humans.
Yeah.
Just show videos of where your meat comes from. Problem solved.
Yeah, and
you've got to show a video of it.
I'm the same way, where it's like, I would agree with them on probably 75% of everything. Same with the environmentalists. We'll all point to the same problems. My problem is with their solutions, because they're not...
How squeamish are you? Like, could you pluck your own chicken and, like, stuff it?
I don't think so.
No, I couldn't. I'm not a man. I give Benjamin credit for that. Like, some stuff he does on Joe Rogan, I couldn't... I'd struggle to gut a fish. I could probably gut a fish, but...
That's what I've thought. Where I'm like, I could probably cut up a fish, but I don't know if I could do like a mammal.
I could do it, but it would annoy me doing it. It's so gruesome.
But I mean, I just, I have a woman even who calls me at my other job. She, for a while, because she was trying to be like Buddhist or something, she stopped eating meat. She has health problems now. She's like, I have to eat red meat now because of the damage done to my body from trying to be vegan. And I'm like, and that's what.
This one girl, she's covered in tattoos, like completely covered. And I was just wondering, are those tattoos vegan? Like, is ink vegan? It can't be, can it?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I wouldn't be surprised though. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, you do find meat products or animal, even whether it's makeup and all sorts of other things, there'll be something like a collagen that's made from like a horse's hoof or something like that, where it's like...
Get it, like us, just the concept of when you've got farmland and you just went vegan, you'd have to jack a lot of animals to keep that going.
Yeah.
A lot of animals. You didn't get that concept, just like, explain that to me. Anything that gets in that field gets jacked. What do you think pesticide stands for?
Yeah. I mean, I have a bad enough problem with my little garden and trying to keep the deers out of it. Deers, rabbits, little bugs, like
jacked, snakes, rabbits, deer.
Yeah.
Gets jacked that goes in that.
I mean, the
real thing is, if you want good soil, it's got dead animals in it. They mix it up. And
probably.
And that's why we put ash on our forehead, because me and Jamie, we're going to be dust. We're going to be that.
I don't know. I just think you
don't know. Like,
well, I was going.
Time, you're going to be.
No, I meant like I saying I don't know. It's in regards to like the thing that bothers me about some of these people is the air.
They don't get that animals would jack you in a second if they could.
Well, yeah, I don't like the arrogance of them, where it's basically it's like the Lion King. There's the circle of life, and it involves animals that eat other animals, animals that eat plants, humans that eat both. Some mammals eat both as well, but for some reason, they see humans as being able to detach themselves from the food chain and get to be selective. And that we aren't, the same as, like, we're not in the same category as all of these creatures. We're above it, and that we should be able to, act on behalf of all of these animals. And it's like, no, we're in the same boat as them. Like, we have certain needs, and we have to eat according to those needs. And it's like, you're not going to have a dog. I mean, who is it? Vegan Gains. There was a video of that YouTuber, Vegan Gains, who tried having a dog and feed his dog a vegan diet, and he almost killed the dog in the process.
You mean jacked up on steroids?
Yeah, basically. Because there's no way that was just from eating beans and plants. But yeah, he almost killed his dog trying to enforce his crazy ideology on his pet. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And for him to do that, and the other thing I think of is just basic, like, evolution. Like, I don't believe in the Big Bang, I don't believe all of that, but I believe in the little changes, the adaptation. And it's like, I just look at these people where I'm like, okay, you think humans were living on Earth eating a meat and plant diet for thousands of years, and we should just be able to stop because... And, like, that's the thing I told this woman when she's like, I wanted to be Buddhist, so I stopped eating meat. I said, where's your family from? She's like, oh, Italian, this, and that. I said, yeah. I said, the Buddhists never ate those things. So they have generations of bodies that are used to that diet. And now you think you can just have the same...
You can ease onto it, but...
Yeah, I'm like...
convinced by that.
I'm like, you think you can just abruptly sort of tell your genetics, fuck you, I'm gonna do what I decide, and, biology be damned? And that's what it really is. Like, I mean, they're the science deniers. Like,
I don't know what it is, but cats are fascinated with me. Like, I've got a cat thing. I'm like, I might have that bug that they give. Because cats, even street cats, like, they always, like, come up for a cuddle and stuff. And she was like, those cats, like, to the point where they let themselves in. I think next door's cat gets locked out sometimes. It, like, lets itself in, sleeps in my bed and stuff. And it's pretty cool. And she was like, would you eat the cat? And I was like, yeah, the cat, we cuddle up and stuff, but if it could jack me, it would. It's just because it can't.
Well, and that's
If that cat could jack me, it would. And it tries it all the time.
Well, and that's like what you're saying. I mean, they do have that thing where it's like, well, even when cats go up to people and they'll start putting their nails out on you and stuff like that, it's like, because the cat thinks you're there for its entertainment. Like, it's not like my dog, where my dog serves me. My dog knows I'm the boss, I'm the master. Like, my dog, when I'm walking her, I could walk her without a leash and she'll go maybe 10 steps ahead, and then she'll look back at me for permission to go further. The cat does what it wants, and it thinks the human is underneath it. Like, it would jack you in a second if it could.
And she was like, would you eat it? And I was like, no, I wouldn't eat it. She was like, well, there you go. And I was like, no, the cat's domesticated.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of sadistic.
It's like being
I
like...
would agree, it would be sadistic to domesticate an animal, then kill it to eat it. That would be a bit...
That'd be like asking, like...
It's not really an animal, it's a domestic pet.
It's it's a pet. And it's like asking, like, well, would you eat a goldfish? And it's like, no, but not because I care about it so much. I'd just say, what's the point? It's a goldfish. Like, I'd eat a salmon, but not the goldfish. Like... Yeah, it's some of them, like...
You can't get that you can love and respect animals and still be okay with eating them.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I never liked about it is, you know, and I actually read an article this week about vegan YouTubers that have ended up, again, because of health complications, because of going vegan, and now it's been like some of them have had to come out and be like, I've started eating eggs and fish, you know, I need to because of this. And them just talking about how everyone turns on them. And how it's like...
I told her what the real conspiracy is with it. There's a real conspiracy with it. You know, what it is if you ask him, like, it's not sustainable famous. And I go, it's like, it is if you do one thing. There's only one way it can be sustainable. Is we can't grow shit in England. It's just can for a bit of time, not really. You had the Irish famine, for God's sake. So my point is, you need globalism to pull this off. You need a one world government, because it's not sustainable across the board. Like,
yeah.
You're gonna have to rely on other countries for your food and stuff, and and that's really what you're asking for. You're asking for basically what was on that Peter Jackson, was not Peter Jackson, Paul Joe, whatever his name is, that did that Zeitgeist movie. The Zeitgeist movie starts great, part 1, and by part 3 it's we need this robotic AI to distribute our food. And that's what I think you're getting into, and you don't, because I told her, like, she's kind of fit. I was like, you are a sweetheart. I know you want to, like, I think it's great that you want to save animals and help animals. I think that is wonderful. And I think what they do is, because you're such a nice person, you don't understand what corruption is. You're too nice to understand bad people. And because you're naive, they're going to pull you into a system that is really, we're all trying to fight. I mean, you've heard the conspiracy, the Illuminati. I get look, you must have heard the Illuminati. You're kind of bringing that in with this ideology, because how are we going to sustain that?
Well, see, and that's the thing that bothers me about it, is that it's the only diet that has tied into it an ideology. It's not like people when they decide to do the Atkins diet, or when they decide to eat gluten-free or anything like that. Veganism is the only one that has this social aspect to it, where it's like they all, you know, and the arrogance of it, where they then think they're better than everyone else because they're, you know, because deep inside they know they're suffering for their beliefs. And it's just like those YouTubers saying how everyone turned on them, and it's like turned on them because they were doing what they needed to for their bodies and for their health and everything like that. And it's like the other thing that bothers me about it is when I would go to hardcore shows, you would go to a merch table, and, you know, you'd see one band's merch, you'd see another band's merch, you'd see another band's merch, and then there would be a table of PETA stuff with a video playing of animals getting killed in a slaughter factory. And it's like, again, I prefer to buy my meat from small farms that are organic and everything like that. I'm with them on all the same issues as the factory farming thing. but you don't need that shock factor to sell someone on a healthier lifestyle. If it's a healthier lifestyle, you should just be able to present the healthier lifestyle, and the you know, animals being brutalized could be a byproduct, where it could be like, I'm living healthier than everyone else, and in the process I'm saving animals. But it's almost like they use the one, they're like, well, animals are being brutalized, and you know, I'm trying to save them, and what I'm doing is healthier. And it's like, it's not both. It's definitely not both. And that's why it's this weird tied in together thing, where it's like, it's meant to, you know, give you that emotional satisfaction instead of just knowing, well, I'm doing something that's better for my body. Like, humans are selfish. You should be, if you just sold it on, it's healthier for you, more people would be with it than, like, with the other, because the other is kind of appalling. Like, when it's like, when someone has to show me bloodshed to sell me on something, I'm going to naturally have a adverse reaction. I'm going to be like, you shouldn't have to show me blood and gore and pigs being slaughtered to get me to eat a certain way. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I finished it off with her because she's on Tinder. So I said the best thing you can do, best advice I can give you, is, it sounds patronising, but you shouldn't make an argument. I learned this from Stephen Crowder. You shouldn't make an argument unless you can argue the other side.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even be on the field. And it's such great advice that if you can make the argument better than your opposition, you're going to be in a great situation. So what you should do, because you're single, you should go on like some social media or whatever and try and find the Texas cowboy community where these Texas cowboys hang out, and they will flirt with you and try and see how they have a relationship with animals, like a real cowboy. And you might see a different light. And she was like, but they ride horses. No. I was like, it's never going to get fixed.
Yeah. Well, and that's again, someone who is...
Because you're going to see cowboys that kill animals all day, but have a great respect
for animals. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the... See, you know what I would want to ask these people? What's your opinion on, you know, Native Americans or indigenous people, or no? What? How do they feel about Native Americans or indigenous people? Because, you know, when the natives killed a buffalo or you know, a cow or whatever,
Americans killed the natives.
Yes.
With blankets.
That wasn't intentional. That was a whoopsie. We didn't have germ theory back then. We didn't know. That's that you're thinking, what, in colonial times we knew about biological warfare? That's silly.
Yeah.
But it's a propagated idea, which is funny about it. But anyway, like, the thing is the natives, like, they had such respect for the animals that when they would kill them, they would use every single bit of it. Like, they would turn the bones into something. None of it would go to waste.
They even put the skull on a wall.
Yeah, none of it would go to waste. They would use every bit of the animal in order to honor the animal. Like, and they saw it as, like, it's
not like you put it well, it is a blood sacrifice. Like, you need to kill it cleanly.
Yeah.
Quite clean. And if it's a bunch of deer, you take out the biggest aggressive male. Leave the other ones.
Well, and you know, here's an interesting story. Here's an interesting story we had in my home area. And it was weird because when I was a kid, we used to go to summers in Pennsylvania, and that would be the only place I would see deer and bear and, you know, stuff like that. So, as Pennsylvania...
And this is England. Like, the most harmful piece of wildlife we've got is literally that cat next door.
Yeah.
Or...
Well, you're on an island. But so we had it then, Pennsylvania started to build itself up more, and a lot of the deer started to migrate back into New York. So then we had it where in the local area they would set up where it's like, okay, hunters are allowed on these grounds to hunt X amount of deers, and it was all very regulated, like you couldn't overkill, you know, and this and that. And so, you know, the environmentalists got all up in arms, and they're like, no, how dare they kill the deer, this and that. And it's like, I know guys who, when they hunt, they are not wasting a piece of meat. Like, they will have their freezer filled for the year off of killing one buck. And it's like you said, they go for the most aggressive male they can find. and then they're just stocked up on meat for the whole rest of the year until hunting season comes around again. So the environmentalists shut all of that down. You know what happened? The deer population exploded, and you had car accidents left and right, because let me tell you, the deer around here, they don't give a fuck. They will be, I mean, like I said, I have them in my backyard eating my plants all the time. Like,
in front of the car. That's the
yeah.
problem.
And it took multiple car accidents and them just basically saying, okay, well, now the deer are killing people. Like, you didn't want us hunting the deers in this regulated, you know, calculated manner where we were keeping the population in check. Now the population's exploded, and now they're killing us. We got to go back to the way it was. And it just basically shows, it's like, it has to work in tandem with each other. There has to be a checks and balances. It has to be that circle of life. It can't just be we remove ourselves from it and let the animals have the earth, because then we're going to be the prey. That's what's going to end up happening, even if it's inadvertent, just from deer being dumb and jumping into the road. It's like you gotta have a balance with that stuff.
The only other thing I've been up to, I've been paying a close attention. It's a complete conversation changer, but New Zealand. Paying quite close attention to that.
Yeah.
And just listening to people actually in New Zealand about what they thought about the whole thing.
What are they saying?
Well, they were doing, start from the beginning, they were doing drills in that area in Christchurch for 6 days beforehand. And there was a conference there on the 6th of March. You know those big crisis agencies you can hire, where they've got like, you know, the crisis actors, the body parts, they've got amputee actors, you know, like you see with the...
Yeah.
There's a company that does that. They've got like government agencies, and it's got a video about how they can do like fake shooters and stuff like that. And that video is kind of hidden, but it is on their webpage. I have actually hidden it, but it is there. They were doing a conference on the 6th of March there. John Podesta was obviously there the day, and he left the day before. And he made a statement, the only statement that came out. No one knows why he was there, but there is just this one press statement where he said that New Zealand's going to be a juicy place for the next sort of social media propaganda. That's the only statement that came out of John Podesta while he was there. I might go into who the Prime Minister is for New Zealand a bit later on, but she's a very weird lady. What other stuff came up with it? Yeah, just how quick the response was, and how it's gone to a single shooter conspiracy again, when it was meant to be a coordinated attack, and there's a man and a woman that's on CCTV shooting, and that Muslim fires back. And at first he had his own gun, then they changed the story, said he stole the gun off the terrorist and shot back. And those people are completely off the story. They're completely gone. And that's probably one of the top tell signs of a false flag, is when you've got, for sure, multiple shooters, and then it turns into a lone gunman.
Yeah.
To get rid of that conspiracy narrative. So they thought that was very, very weird. Obviously, I was wrong. I kept going on about the video, how the bullets disappear and they don't land, and how there's inconsistent. There's lots of inconsistencies with the video, but at the same time, you are streaming a video.
Well, I think it's interesting, the whole thing about them criminalizing having the video.
There are a lot of anomalies with the videos. Like, have you seen it yet?
Well, no, and it's like I kind of have just sort of avoided it because, granted, I use a VPN, so it's not like they could trace it back to me. But this whole thing about them being like,
yeah, let me share it with you on Facebook.
If you're in possession of it, or you know, all of this other stuff,
I'll just
like.
send it to you on Facebook now on your page.
I mean, I just.
Yeah, like I can't share it with you. I can't.
Yeah.
And the way the bodies were already there. They had a couple of CIA experts who whistleblowers on Alex Jones, and they had that guy who busted the underwear, not the underwear, was it the shoe bomber? What's his name? Heskel.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of talks on it, saying that video, because you got a drill going on for 6 days, so maybe that video was done before, and then there was a mosque shooting. But that video probably isn't the mosque shooting.
I don't know.
I don't want to go through all the anomalies on the video because I want to write the video off for 2 grounds. First of all, there's no evidence that that is the actual event. There were all these drills before, so that could have been the drill, and the drill could have gone live. There's lots of reasons for those anomalies. The other reasons you could have anomalies in this video is because it's live streaming it, and that's not always the best quality.
Yeah. Well,
Some of the anomalies they've got wrong.
The thing with me that always like worries me is like, you know, I feel like
the video's a massive diversion. I don't think the videos. I think that's why they put it out, is to get everyone looking for the anomalies on the video. It's not real stuff, and not paying attention to the fact that. Well, and then
probably why they came out and said
them so quickly. Why didn't he shoot any police?
Well, and like with what you're saying about the video, if you know the video is the diversion, then them going and saying, okay, it's a crime to have the video, that makes it even more that people will look for it and want to go through it and stuff like that. My whole thing is
sets precedent for censorship too.
Yeah. My whole thing, like, and I think you were just about to touch on this, is like I've paid attention to the news long enough that I can pretty much have a grasp on the average information rate of a story. And I get nervous about false flags with 2 opposite kinds of stories. And that is the endless hole leading to nowhere, which we had in the Vegas shooting, where there were so many aspects to look down, but nothing really that you could concrete tie together. And even now, they've kind of just disregarded it. And it just happened, and that was that, and there's no official story on the motive or anything like that. And then the other one is the complete opposite, where it's like, we know everything instantaneously. And it's like, whether it be from the manifesto or even Sandy Hook, they were able to piece that all together in like record time. And it's like, this is too neatly put together with a little bow on it. Like, you know, it's just like
the classic victims as well that don't seem like they've just been involved in the shooting and that their wife has just seen and been shot. You don't get that impression from the people talking outside the mosque.
Yeah.
They all seem like pretty like. But just quickly,
hold on, just real quick on that. I honestly think if I was in a situation where there was some like terror attack or a mass shooting or something like that, and someone I loved was a victim of that, I wouldn't do interviews. I wouldn't want to be spoken to. The last
girlfriend I had was Sandra. If she had been shot when we were together by a lunatic, my statement would be, it'd put me in jail. Like I would say, I'm gonna get these guys.
Yeah.
Watch. And I would do it. Like they'd have to lock me up.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing that you have got from this is quite brilliant. You've got internet censorship. What you can do, what you can say online, and what you can't say online. About what you can show. They've really passed the internet censorship. It's definitely going to be like a landmark for that. You've got the gradual disarmament of the population now.
Yeah.
People, you know, defenseless against the government.
I think I even saw they're like doing gun confiscations before the laws have even passed.
They were talking about that, within hours. And government's normally pretty slow on these things, but now it's just there. You've got just general confusion about not being able to tell what the difference between fact and fiction. So it's going to cause a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear.
Well, it's what you said initially on the podcast. It's truth versus winning, and this is an attempt of the powers that be trying to win. Truth be damned, they'll create truth if they need it to, or they'll create a narrative if they need to.
Type into Google Crisis X. That's the group that had a conference. You can see they had a conference in New Zealand just before, and they can show you. They can get you the actors. They can get you amputee actors, because you need amputee actors. They can show you can hire body parts. These body parts you can shoot and it will look like it's got something coming out of the brain. They've got the whole lot. They can show you how to make the films, how to get the guns, how to make explosions, how to deal with the press, You got Podesta there making that weird statement the day before. They had his manifesto just ready to rock and roll, and it's a very similar manifesto to what you've seen before. with that Norwegian shooter and the Unibomb. Was it the Unibomber guy had a manifesto. It's pretty similar. And the thing with New Zealand, it's quite an important area because the conspiracy says that's where the elites are going to flee to.
Yeah.
So they're going to want gun control there, and they're going to want prime ministers to have guns. And now a bit about the Prime Minister of New Zealand, see if I can remember this right. So she, which is weird, she was very Masonic, it's no secret. She got like lots of Masonic scholarships and stuff. And I think they sent her to England. She worked for Tony Blair quite a while. And her job was to cover up, there was a child abuse scandal in Scotland with the Scottish Masonic Lodge. And she was the spokesperson that basically brushed it under the carpet. And then she went back to New Zealand and became Prime Minister. And she didn't win it like fairly. There was lots of like, she did that kind of common purpose thing where she caused so much disruption that the people that should have been put forward just like got the fuck out of there. So she went in there, caused such like a stir that everyone was divided, and then she just kind of like, there's no one really else.
Yeah, she was a policy advisor to Tony Blair.
But all three are gone. So you've got private gun ownership gone, you've got internet freedom, and the question of national sovereignty on. All in one hit.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely going to be a story worth just following. The way you had those things on a gun is weird, very MK Ultra like. This guy was travelling around. We still don't know anything about the background on this guy. Like, he was travelling around everywhere. He was in Israel for a while too. Pakistan, saying how great Pakistan is.
Yeah, she's
shady.
Yeah, there's. I don't know, she's one of these people that it looks like they're just like a manufactured candidate. If you hear you got a picture of her in a hijab.
About what can be said on YouTube, what can't be shared.
Well, and even isn't there's that new EU Article 13 or whatever, where it's almost like they passed that and they have this, so it's like they're coming in with being able to shut things down from two ends, where it's like here they have political censorship, and on that Article 13 or whatever, it's very much like corporate.
People facing jail for sharing that video.
Yeah.
Sharing the manifesto, and it's pretty insane. So, and that's a piece of evidence. I mean, imagine not being able to share the Sabuda film.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got a camera now. Like if JFK got assassinated, Trump got assassinated now, it's not going to be like JFK where it's just this one video. Easy to brush that under the carpet. Now every fuck is going to have that on their phone. And it like shut it down. Like they would be able to do that now, be president. Like if someone was assassinated, it's like upload that video and you're like done. But the media can watch it and tell you about it. That's fine. But you can't watch it to make your own decision. You're just gonna have to take. We're gonna have to take media's word for offence again, and that's what it is. Media's lost control because everyone's got the ability to make their own Sabuda film.
Yeah.
Which was unthinkable, you know. Back when it all started. Do you looking at his Crisis X on Google?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting too with some of these things how it's like you don't, because everyone has cameras, you don't have multiple angles and multiple, you know, granted, I mean, I hear things all the time, and at first I thought it was like a shocking thing to do, but they'll say, you know, people will see someone getting killed in front of them, and instead of trying to help, they pull out their phones and videotape it, and it's like...
if you go typing this into Google, Crisis X, the Readiness Conference in Auckland. It's Auckland, New Zealand. If anyone was going to do this, it's going to be these guys. And they were doing the drills. The police admit the reason they reacted so quick was because they were doing drills at the time. And that's why all their cops were ready with all their guns, because they were drilling for this shooting. And it's just remarkable it happened at the same time. But if you go on this, it's got this cloud bit that's hidden. I'll try and find the cloud bit. They've got videos, and they show you them doing crisis shootings. Simulation, all these simulation sessions they can do.
World-class speakers at New Zealand's first simulation event.
The natural disasters and stuff like this, it's saying. If you go on their cloud, then you can look at their videos, because they don't have their cloud, but they don't put their videos on their webpage. They're on Google Cloud. They might have taken them down now.
It's crazy some of the people they have tied into this. Former mayor of Christchurch gave a speech. Yeah. Head of communications at McDonald's. A broadcaster, consultant for HP South Pacific. Like, it's weird how it's all this tie-in between, like, big business and politics and news. And, I mean, it basically is, like, how to run a PSYOP.
So, it goes through the day. You've got, like, tea and coffee, leadership in modern day, but it's got simulation session 1. Delegates have to identify an emergency crisis, bring together the appropriate team, eliminate distractions, and plan for a rapid response. And then they analyse their decisions in the afternoon. Out of control. In this session, teams face a simulation spiraling out of control. A further crisis starts to creep up behind them, and the wheels start to fall off within the crisis committee. And you've got AIG International Keynote, Melissa Agnes makes a speech. Learning session 2. Groups come together to talk about the decisions. They are saying bullshit, they just did analyse their decisions. Growing social media. Teams are faced with a growing social media backlash, prolonged negative media coverage. So, can we check out a bit more about what is Crisis X for?
Yeah, that's something to dig into. But anyway, I should probably get going. I gotta start getting dinner together, get some stuff done around the house.
Yeah.
But I should be around Sunday if we want to cover some more things then.
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about Brexit at some point.
Yeah.
Brexit and Trump, same thing. We both got played, mate. England got played where we got told.
I don't know.
If you vote, you're going to get this. We didn't get it. We're now in deeper than we were before. Everyone's divided. You've got one half remain, one half, okay, get out of here. And it's the same in America. You've got Trump. And we got played. It's just too beautiful how he got in. It hasn't really done what we said it's actually going to do.
I don't know.
It's great that Clinton didn't get in. The country's divided more than ever.
My whole thing is, though, is like, I think America, for the most part, is in way better shape than we would have been.
The Middle East more than ever.
Well, that could be. Like, I do agree, like, with the whole concept of Trump doing too much of Israel's bidding and stuff like that. But I do think that there's a lot of wins that, as far as, you know, the stuff with North Korea, the trade deals with China. Like,
yeah, sure, that's how you get played beautifully. You've got to let them do some good stuff, but nothing that's really gonna.
But here's the whole thing, though, is everything you're saying we're getting played on is stuff that doesn't affect the day-to-day lives of Americans. And all the wins are on the things that affect the day-to-day life of America. So it's like, if you were to go to an American that supports Trump and be like, you guys got played, they would look at you and be like, what are you talking about? And it's like any of the issues you point to. Huh?
He's good. Like he's good for 4 years. America needed a breathing space.
Well,
that's what Trump's giving.
well, because even the whole thing, like, we have a coal industry
now,
again in America now. We have more jobs than we have people to fill them. That's completely opposite of what it was under Obama. Like, people are back to work, and when they're back to work, they don't need the government. Like, the thing I like most about Trump is it's basically a return to the idea of, like, we don't need the government. The average American shouldn't really even have to be that concerned about the government.
Well, not based on his government spending budget.
There's not the like social meddling. Like that's the thing that bothered me the most about the Democrats is it was all social meddling while all they were doing was shutting down America. And it's like through regulations and rules and taxes and everything like that. So it's like, I mean, that's why my focus is just on the domestic stuff. Like the foreign stuff, that's why I say you could be 100% right on that. But Trump didn't really campaign on any foreign stuff. Like that's, he didn't make promises as far as what was going to go on in the Middle East. He said we would get ISIS and shut that down. And as far as I know, that's happened to some extent. But then it turns into the who's taking over those areas now. Like, because there's obviously a void.
Sadly, I think, like, I made a prediction it didn't happen because we had a big Jewish Passover last week, like a really big one. And I thought, well, I got warnings from some rabbis. They were like, if you've got any friends in America, like, tell them to get out of Dodge for a couple of days. And I was like, what the fuck are you guys up to? And he was like, oh, well, he went pretty far. He was like, the Messiah's here. The Jews are playing it this weekend. Just wait. And nothing happened. But we might have escaped because London Airport got shut down on Saturday night. The same time Disney World got shut down in Euro Disney got shut down exactly the same time. Brussels had a massive lockdown at exactly the same time. Germany arrested a bunch of people that were going to mow down people and shoot people on Saturday night. So you think, was that the last splinter cell? And maybe we actually shut it down for a change.
Yeah.
If that had gone live on Saturday night, could you imagine that? Disneyland hit, London hit, Brussels hit, Germany hit, all at the same time.
Yeah, that would be crazy if there was a coordinated global attack. Which, I mean, honestly, I hate to say this, but it feels like it's in the cards.
Said it was just a fire.
If you
just a fire.
I mean, I hate to say it, but if you have a group of powerful global elitists trying to take control and run things like that, that'd be the only way. I mean, they introduced these power moves to certain areas through methods like that. I mean, if you had it where it happened on a global scale, of course they'd all come out and they'd be like, we need the UN to take over security for the entire nation in order to prevent this from ever happening again. Like, in that regards, like, it seems like it's in the cards, and I really hate even having to think of that, but I don't know. Hopefully it was all shut down. I mean, there are agencies like Interpol and stuff like that that are supposed to coordinate.
I really freaked out with this rabbi because he kept going on about it, going this button like this is it, and a few people were going on about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck are they up to? Nothing happened. I've never seen that many Jewish people warn America, I don't know if you saw it, but loads of Jews were like going, might want to get out of Dodge this weekend.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it. But I mean, they were doing that before 9/11, where they told certain people don't go to the World Trade that day and stuff. So.
Or are they just crazy rabbis that don't know shit?
Yeah, but all right, we'll do it on Sunday, and we'll go through and find out if we're in cults or not. All right, take care.
Yeah.